They might not tell you that they're avoidant, but there will be signs. And in this video, we are going to unpack what those signs are, and they're not what you think I'm going to say. Because you think I'm going to say all of these characteristics about an avoidant and how to spot the characteristics of an avoidant, what they might do if they're avoidant. But I'm not. I'm going to tell you something else. Because we all know that an avoidant is very good at not seeming to be avoidant, especially at the beginning. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because there is loads and loads of people who are so scared that they're going to meet another avoidant and that they're not going to know. And they're going to seem really secure and really open and really hopeful about being close and making a relationship work. And then they're going to change suddenly, which is what lots of avoidants tend to do. Some avoidants, on the other hand, will directly tell you at the start that they're avoidant, okay? They're literally going to say, I'm pretty avoidant in relationships, to be honest, or I haven't really got much time for relationships, or I don't know if I really want a relationship at the moment. If they say that, that is the truth. Listen to it. Don't create that to be like a project or a challenge or a conquest for you to overcome. That is a very, very obvious way that you might be ignoring a sign if they've done that, okay? This is just that alternative situation of if they have said to you that they're avoidant or they don't want a relationship and you ignore it. That is you just ignoring it, okay? Because when you know that you don't want to be in a relationship where somebody can't meet you halfway and they're literally straight up telling you this is the way that I am and they don't want to work on it, just run. That's a cue for you to run, okay? I used to ignore that kind of thing all the time, and that got me into just hellish situations of abandoning myself in a massive, crazy way that we just don't need to do. You haven't got time in your life for that, okay? So if somebody tells you that they're avoidant and they're not working on it, or they don't know what to do and they're not going to therapy, just don't bother, in my opinion, okay? Um, the other situation, like I say, is that they don't tell you because they don't seem to be avoidant. So if we're not relying on them to tell us, then what can we rely on? It has to be ourselves. And the thing is that what happens is with avoidance is they appear to be very secure at the beginning, but there are tiny little clues. There's little things that they do. Okay, there's little tiny moments and you won't consciously notice them. So I'm not even going to list what they'll be. They'll just be little tiny moments of something's a bit off there. That was weird. And your nervous system will be the thing that notices it, not your conscious mind. And you'll write it off because for the most part, they're okay. But with those things that happen, where they do those little subtle things that feel off to you, that is when you start leaning in more and you start leaving yourself more. And before you know it, your nervous system will feel really weird and you'll feel this sense of disconnection. And your body will basically tell you before your mind does, essentially, but much earlier than you would like to admit, because if you admitted it early enough, then you would kind of end the relationship very, very soon without giving it a chance. This is also why people get really confused, right? Because you kind of think, well, I want to give this the benefit of the doubt. I want this person to be as good as they appear to be. So I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. But I'll give you an example with this. When I was getting into a relationship with my last partner, I'll tell you about him and the one before. Both times I ignored the signs, okay? So very, very early on, I had this sensation of like, oh, I'm going to have to leave myself. I actually think I consciously said to myself, I'm just going to write off those things for a while that I love doing and that way, that life, because my priority at the moment is the relationship, and that's just what's happening right now. And so I literally decided quite consciously, even though it wasn't consciously, it was like a passing thought, and a feeling that I thought, oh, well, never mind. I'll come back to that later. And I wanted to do that because I wanted to prioritize the relationship, but I didn't realize at the time that cutting off parts of myself in order to keep a relationship alive was going to destroy it. So I felt something was wrong and that maybe I was going to regret it and that maybe this person maybe wasn't even right for me, but I ignored it because I wanted it to be right. So there was a feeling rather than all those thoughts being uber like clear in my head because they were a bit messy. It was more the feeling in my body that I just ignored. With the other relationship that I was thinking about, I remember he didn't reply to me for like 3 days, and he'd actually gone out and got really drunk, and I was really anxious. And before I knew it, I was like ringing him and messaging him and like, are you okay? And what's happening? And I thought, what's up with that? When I spoke to him again, he wasn't apologetic. He was like, oh, hi, how are you? And I thought that was weird, but I ignored it. Okay. So there's little things that happen that seem quite insignificant, especially when they seem completely okay afterwards. But those little things are the actually become big things, because the little things are the things that instigate the version of you that leaves yourself, the version of you that chases, the version of you that has weak boundaries. And before you know it, you in your whole body just feel different and you've left yourself. So the key, the biggest clue about if somebody is avoidant is in how much you are willing to leave yourself, because you have to, basically, in order to make the relationship work, right? Because somebody else's avoidance brings out our avoidance. It's a bit like the friend who's in a really bad relationship and you think to yourself, oh, I wish that they'd just see it. I wish they'd speak up for themselves. They can't see it because they're avoiding it. So they are essentially avoidant as their avoidant partner. And this is the thing that people don't really want to hear, is that by not being honest about reality, we're avoiding something too. And that is the real game changer, because actually, honestly, when you start to really be in touch with yourself, people start wanting you because you are magnetic, because you are being you. You, as your higher self in connection with yourself, is the most magnetic force that there is. You can do anything from there. Everything changes. Dynamics do an absolute flip, because you abandoning yourself, you cannot be loved from there. Right? So that is one of the signs. And I know you might be thinking, oh, it might take ages for me to notice that. But not if you start thinking about it. Not if you're aware of yourself and in connection with yourself. Not if you stop dismissing your feelings, which is what you've been doing. Let me know in the comments if you can look back and think of things that you actually ignored that you now know were important signs. You know, because everybody's got that. Everybody's got either a feeling in their body that felt like something wasn't right, or, yeah, they did this thing that I completely ignored. But it's usually a feeling. And that's what I want to teach you to stop dismissing in the self-abandonment trap. Because I did this and it literally ruined years of my life, because I was so disconnected from myself. And we can think about them and point at them all we want, but we have to be in touch with ourselves. Otherwise, we're just going to leave ourselves and try and figure them out. And all that does is create more of the same problem. So I hope this video has been useful. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I would love to see you in the self-abandonment trap, but if not, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.